All right, if you're just now joining in on this live weather coverage, we are going to be talking about the storms that are currently moving through portions of the river valley. Now, we are starting to see some widespread showers and thunderstorms moving in this morning. If you tune into the morning shows, we've been talking about this all morning. We've been talking about it since yesterday afternoon and evening as well. Multiple rounds of showers and storms are expected. Some could be strong to severe, but we're going to let you know this morning that the only alert that we have at this moment in time as of 7:19 is going to be this one in the river valley. So let's go ahead and zoom in and see what is going on with this particular storm. And we'll show you that this is for hail just under an inch in diameter, so not quite a damaging hail potential with this. But the main threat that we're looking at this is going to be the damaging wind potential. Now, this is in effect until 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, this is going to be moving into communities like Spiro, Fort Smith, Greenwood, and eventually, if it continues to maintain its strength, down the line, Alma may be up in the path of this storm here in just a little bit as well. So that's a look at what we've got going on there with this storm this morning, and we'll let you know the very latest. We've been tracking these all night. We've been tracking them all morning, and unfortunately, once again, we have another warning. We don't want you to mistake our presence online, on the app, on 5 Plus. Talking about these storms as thinking maybe is there a tornado potential with this. Right now, we don't have any sort of tornado warnings, any sort of potential like that with this particular storm or others at this moment in time. We're talking right now mainly a small, marginally severe hail potential and damaging wind potential. And as you can see, the Weather Service just updated this warning, and it looks like they decreased the hail potential even further. So we're watching this storm. We'll let you know the very latest. We are tracking it here with you, and we'll let you know the very latest throughout this live broadcast. And again, tracking this storm, it is for portions of Sebastian, Sequoia, LaFleur, and Crawford counties until 8 this morning. So let's take a look at the velocity products here real quick and show you those winds that we're talking about. And there is the strong area of winds, and you can see green is moving towards the radar, red is moving away from the radar. And while these are close, and I know we mentioned this time and time again when we're talking about the velocity products, when you see those greens and reds coming together, we typically think, tornado potential. Right now, there isn't a tornado potential with this. These greens and reds, it's showing you that there is a large area of strong winds moving further to the east near Fort Coffee, east of Foreman. Wouldn't surprise me if we see some wind gusts of 60, maybe a little bit higher at times, but we're not talking significant right now. So strong 60-mile-per-hour winds likely moving into communities such as Arcahoma, Fort Smith, and then this is going to be making its way closer to Highway 540, 112, 271, just to the south of Fort Smith. So we're keeping an eye on this radar this morning. Again, if you're watching this and you're just now tuning in, seeing the velocity products, we're not talking tornado potential with this. We're talking damaging wind potential that is currently just to the south of Muldrow and to the east of Foreman. This is going to be making its way into areas such as Fort Smith and Arcoma here in just a matter of minutes. So let's zoom out here real quick. We'll put not for the time being. If this reaches 70-mile-per-hour winds, then I'll let you know, and then we can do cut in on that. So thanks for asking. Kind of doing some housekeeping behind the scenes. Of course, we have a fantastic team working behind the scenes to make sure that we can bring you the latest updates here. Big thank you to them for sticking around. It has been a very active and long morning for most of us here. We've been tracking storms all morning, so I appreciate everyone for their help that we have this morning. I want to go ahead and do a track, and the Weather Service is saying this is moving east at 45 miles an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and do a squall track and just include all the communities that I can. And we'll go ahead, and they said it's directly east, so we'll do this. So times of arrival right now, basically in Roland, Pacola, Arcoma in just a couple of minutes as well. Fort Smith at 7:32, Fort Smith Regional around 7:34, Van Buren around 7:36. Some things to keep in mind. I know it is the weekend. Not only do we have the Easter activities, but I know there's also outdoor activities. Not quite sure, but I know Van Buren typically has fun outdoor activities over the weekend. Probably check with local officials or local community, organizers to see if those are canceled. I'm assuming outdoor activities are canceled for a large portion of the area, but that just reminded me seeing Van Buren. Greenwood 7:44, and then Bloomer at 7:52. So again, those are some of the communities in the path of this storm, and we are going to be watching this over the next little bit just to see where it goes and if it maintains its strength. Again, we're not talking a tornado potential with this right now. In fact, if I actually go to the hail indicator, you can see nothing. So the good news is, if there is any hail, we're talking probably penny to nickel size, but overall, not anything impressive in terms of the hail potential with this. The other thing to keep in mind, we are close to the Fort Smith radar site, so it's not going to be the best reading once we get this moving into where that radar is located. And I'll actually show you here real quick where that is located. And just a quick bit of information here. Here is the radar site in Fort Smith. This is the NexRad site that scans and gives us radar information for all of our county coverage area. But it's a helpful tool. But once you start getting into this close ring here, it's about a 1 to 2 mile or 1 to 3 mile kind of donut hole that we call the cone of silence here. And notice that the radar's starting to look a little bit sloppy once we get closer to that ring. Once we get into that area, the radar is looking up into the atmosphere, and when it's scanning upwards, it's starting to get a little bit sloppier closer to the surface because it's shooting outwards and upwards. It leads to a more sloppy scan, so it's not going to be the best scan that we have once we get closer to the Fort Smith radar site. Of course, with the curvature of the Earth and as it advances in height with the beam, you get not too well of a signature close to the site, and then you don't get one further out from the site. So it's just kind of the complexity of radar and interpreting it. So that's something to keep in mind. We may not get a good signature in terms of those wind potential and hail potential as it's getting closer to what we refer to as the cone of silence. So right now, let's take a look and see with the hail track if this had any sort of track to mention as well. Nothing there. That's some good news there. Let's go ahead and head back to our velocity here, and we'll take a quick look at that, and we'll let you know the very latest. And again, that looks like some strong winds south of Lone Oak and near Paw Paw. And let's see here if we can do the velocity here and sample some of those winds. And again, still right around the 60 mile per hour range with these. So 56 miles an hour. Wouldn't surprise me if we see some gusts up to 60 as well. So again, Lone Oak, this is south of Old US Highway 64, and this is going to be approaching Oklahoma Highway 9A here momentarily with those gusty winds. So again, if you're just now tuning in with us, we're not talking tornado potential. If you're looking at the velocity signature and wondering, we are looking at the potential for some strong damaging winds up to potentially 60 miles an hour. Now, the reason that we're doing this live is because notice we have a lot of communities that are in the path of this storm, and heads up to Fort Smith, Pacola, Van Buren, some of these other communities near Barling as well. And I'll zoom out and just show you kind of what we're talking about here. Here's a look at that warning polygon. Central City and Greenwood are also in the warning. And just keep in mind, it's been a loud morning for many, and we're going to continue to see a loud morning just because some of these storms, they're going to produce additional heavy rainfall, some lightning, and even some gusty winds. So before you head out the door, maybe best to check the radar, especially in the River Valley, just because we have the severe storm, and you don't want to be caught up driving in that. And also keep in mind, wherever you're going elsewhere around the region, you may want the raincoat or the umbrella this morning just because it's a pretty dreary start to the morning with showers and storms across the area. Let's do a wide view here real quick. and we'll let you know what's happening across the area. Big span of showers and thunderstorms, pretty much from Branson, Missouri, all the way down to just south of McAlester, Oklahoma. And basically, the moral of the story today is probably not the best weekend for outdoor activities for Easter. So if you have any plans this morning, probably move them indoors, just because notice we have all of this rain activity. In addition to that, we have lightning as well. So just not the best warning for outdoor activities. So keeping an eye on the radar before you head out this morning. Keep in mind that we do have these storms, and so if you're going to be out and about driving, it could be poor driving conditions at times, especially if we get into any more warnings with the strong wind potential there. And one thing I want to do real quick, let's go back to the River Valley here. And there is a lot of lightning with this, so I want to go ahead and let's do this. I want to show just how much lightning over the last, I believe that's the last 10 minutes. So right around 129 strikes of lightning, now 131 over the last couple of minutes there. And you can see just very electric storms this morning. We've seen lots of lightning throughout the morning. We'll continue to see that as we head into the afternoon as well. So we're not quite done. Of course, we got this activity this morning that we're keeping a very close eye on. We'll let you know the very latest. But right now, the only thing that we're tracking is, of course, this particular storm moving into portions of LaFleur, Sebastian, Crawford, and Sequoyah counties. Now, it's going to start leaving LaFleur and Sequoyah here in just a little bit, and then become an issue for Sebastian and Crawford counties. But we're going to be watching this regardless and let you know the very latest. Right now, the storm is still warned for about 60-mile-per-hour winds, about 0.7 of an inch hail, so well under severe limits. In order for a storm to be considered severe, you need hail at 1 inch in diameter or larger. You also need winds of 58 miles an hour or greater. Right now, it looks to be the main concern is for wind, as opposed to a large hail risk. So the good news is no large damaging hail with this, maybe a couple pockets of penny, maybe nickel-sized hail, but overall, nothing impressive in terms of significant severe weather. This is basically a bare minimum severe thunderstorm warning, which of course is the best because it's on the lower end of the severe scale. New update, and okay, so we've got a new update there. They added a tornado possible tag there, and I think I see what they're talking about there. There's just a little notch there with the leading edge of that. So anytime we see that, just to let you know, because I know when you think tornadoes, there's a lot of fear that goes into many people's minds when they're thinking of tornadoes. Take it from me, I grew up with storm anxiety. I used to be terrified of weather, and now I'm delivering the weather to you. I used to be horribly afraid of tornadoes, severe weather, lightning, and you know, I get that feeling, and we're here for you. We're going to let you know the very latest. So if you have that same fear, if you just saw that, what it simply means is there are some things in this storm that, yes, there is some rotation that we're noticing, but it's not enough to issue a tornado warning. It basically means the National Weather Service is going, hey, we're watching this. We're not immediately concerned that we need to issue a warning for it, but in the meantime, we're going to let you know there is a potential for it. So that's simply all that means. We'll let you know, of course, if anything changes. That's, of course, also why we're on here with this, and why I love being able to do these live streams online and on 5 Plus is, you know, with traditional news, we can't hop on all the time in the middle of programming unless it's something significant. But, you know, when we're online like this, we can cover these severe thunderstorm warnings and walk you through that and let you know what to expect. So we're tracking that very carefully. We'll let you know the very latest, but of course, whenever we see something like that, we're watching it. So no worries there. We'll let you know if there is any concern after that. So that area that we're watching, there's a strong pocket of wind near Arcahoma, and that is basically near Phoenix Ave. Not necessarily for tornado potential, but also strong damaging winds. In fact, if I were to sample that, it wouldn't surprise me if we're already seeing about 60 miles an hour in terms of the winds that we see there, 65. So that's actually pretty concerning, because if we see any more of that, that can mean that this wind potential is also going up. So that's near Arcahoma, 65-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And the other thing to consider too, this is the radar site in Fort Smith down here. That's that dome that you see. We're just a couple of miles from that site, so we're looking a little bit closer to the surface here, as opposed to, you know, if we're looking in something like Benton County and then it's 5,000 feet off the ground. This is just above the surface level by a couple hundred feet, so we may be seeing gusts start to come up to the 60 to 65 mile per hour range. So this may be a concerning, damaging wind risk here in just a little bit. So we're watching that. Definitely Fort Smith, now's the time to get indoors, especially because these strong winds and the lightning, it's not going to be fun to be outside in. Barling, you'll want to head indoors as well. We're not talking tornado warning or anything like that, but it's probably best to be indoors and away from windows, especially over the next little while for these communities in the path of this. 65-mile-per-hour winds. If that tosses some outdoor loose objects, or if it can break a tree limb, you don't want to be near a window, because those damaging winds can pick up a loose outdoor object and maybe hit a window, and you don't want to be close to that. So probably best to be indoors as this moves through. Let's go ahead and do a quick track once again, and I do believe that they're keeping this at around 45 miles an hour. Seeing if there's any new updates. And this one slowed down just a little bit. They're having it around 35 miles an hour. So we'll go ahead and do a quick update on this. Actually, I want to get rid of that one. Excuse me, we'll get rid of that, and then we'll put that was too far ahead. So let's do this. And we'll have that there. So Barling, pretty much next 5 minutes or so, it's best to just get indoors now, especially heavy rain, some lightning, and that wind potential. Just not fun to be outdoors with that. So make sure that you're inside. Greenwood at 7:50, Bloomer at 7:55, Pleasant View at 8, and then we eventually get to Cecil 8:08, Branch at 8:11, and then if it continues to maintain strength, Ozark at 8:18. So that's a look at the latest path that we've got with this. I want to go back to radar here, and let's go back to the winds. And actually, I want to go to, let's see if we can see anything from Tulsa. And this is a tricky area, since we're getting into that cone of silence that I mentioned here earlier. Notice, since we're so close to the radar site, there's that cone of silence. It's this little ring that you see here where it looks kind of scattered. It looks messy across the area. So when we're this close to the radar, radar has two weaknesses: super far away from it and then super close to it, because this is starting to look just above the surface, and then it starts to get a little bit higher as it moves further and further out. So this sometimes will pick up some ground clutter. It'll sometimes run into some interference. So right now, not a great position to see the radar in terms of those winds. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if we're seeing those winds of 60 to 65 miles an hour even still as this is moving through. Let's see here. Let's go back to regular radar. And again, we're tracking this one. So if you're in Alma, you're probably getting some thunder. You're probably getting some heavy rainfall at times with this little cell right here. Now, this is not necessarily severe. This is going to be the main area of concern that we have here between Pocola and Fort Smith. There is a little bitty cell down here to the south of Alma, and right now, not severe, but heavy rainfall, maybe a loud thunderstorm moving through there. This morning. Let's take a look here as well. I'll zoom it out just a little bit. So if you're just now tuning in and you're wondering, what about my area in Northwest Arkansas? What about my area in the River Valley? What about my area further to the east? The answer is, if we're not talking about your area right now, that's some good news, because that means that we're only focused on the warnings right now, and the only warning we have right now is in portions of the River Valley near Fort Smith. Elsewhere around the region, you're pretty much clear in portions of Scott and Logan County, Johnson County, a couple of showers and storms moving through there. Northwest Arkansas, we've got some widespread rain moving through. We can hear it outside of the station. We've got some loud rumbles of thunder. We've had some heavy rains at times as well. And then once we get into the River Valley, this is where we're seeing a lot more of the lightning activity as well. And still keeping an eye on this particular storm moving into portions of Fort Smith this morning. So let's go back. So right now, it wouldn't surprise me if we're seeing some gusty winds in downtown Fort Smith, Mill Creek, as well as that cell is moving into the area. So right now, 60 to 65 mile per hour winds are possible as we're headed into downtown Fort Smith, Mill Creek. Some of these locations that are in the path of the storm, we're going to continue to watch the potential for, like I said, 60, maybe 65 mile per hour wind gusts. Over my shoulder, you can see Keebler, I believe, or Kibler, and that's going to be eventually down the line with the storm as it continues to move further to the east. So we're watching this one very carefully. Again, we'll let you know if anything changes with this. We're live with you this morning just to let you know what to expect, what we've got going on, and we'll let you know the very latest. So, of course, we're tracking these storms. We've been tracking them all night, and we're still continuing them this morning with this new round. Once we get into this afternoon, there may be a little bit of a break by the early portion of the afternoon, and then we'll have additional storms by this evening. In the meantime, we're dealing with this. We have these storms in the River Valley that are causing some issues, and we are tracking those very closely. Quick update on that in terms of the warning. Let's go back and see. And you can still see basically still a tornado possible tag. And what that basically means is there's not enough to issue a tornado warning overall. There is an area of spin that we've been watching, and the Weather Service is letting us know, hey, we see that area of spin. We see that the conditions there are favorable, that if it were to get going, it could produce. But right now, it's not enough of a threat that we're going to issue a tornado warning. That's what that tornado tag means. So it's not enough of a threat yet to have its own warning issued, but they just want to let you know, hey, there is the potential. We're going to give you an early heads up here. So in addition to that, wind speeds of 60 miles an hour and then 7/10 of an inch hail. So we're talking right around nickel-sized hail will be possible. Hail is not going to be the primary concern. Hail that size, it can be loud, it can be obnoxious, but it's not going to create damage. So that's some good news there. That storm looks to be, the worst of it looks to be pushing to the east of Fort Smith. Let's take a look at that velocity signature as it moves further to the east. And maybe some stronger winds there as well. So again, wouldn't surprise me if 60 to 65 mile per hour winds are possible with this storm as it's moving through portions of downtown Fort Smith. I think the worst of it should be pushing out of Arcohoma here momentarily. Let's go back to the regular radar and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's see here, any sort of new updates? No, I thought I heard something. So we've got that. And the worst of it for Arcohoma, there's going to be another round of maybe some heavier rain moving in, but the worst of it with the leading edge is continuing to push out. So we'll see that hopefully winding down here in just a little bit. But in the meantime, like I said, just go ahead and stay indoors. And I want to go ahead and see if we can load up. They kept the tornado possible tag, so that's the only update. They're just trimming Adair and LaFleur County out of that. And I'm going to go ahead and see if we can see anything on our POTO camera. Or Fort Smith. Let's see our Fort Smith camera here real quick. All right, so that's one of our Fort Smith cameras. What about this one? And you can see some, that is some heavy rainfall coming down. This is Mercy in Fort Smith. There's a little bit of wind there too that you can see, so strong storms are moving through the area. Let's see. Let's see if there was any sort of updates from the Weather Service. Said they're still watching that potential, but no major updates here yet. So that's some good news there. Let's see. Let's go back down to the River Valley. And again, we are still watching this particular storm. Currently in Fort Smith near Barling. And again, this is mostly a large heavy rain potential as it's pretty much spreading across the river valley. So in addition to the severe thunderstorm potential, there's also going to be this widespread heavy rain potential with it as well. Outside of the heavy rain potential, maybe a marginally severe hail risk. The main risks with this are going to be 60-mile-per-hour winds. And of course, we're still watching the possibility of maybe a tornado with this. Not enough concern to be issued its own tornado warning yet. But it's just something that we're going to have to keep a very close eye on this morning. So let's go ahead and take a look at that velocity signature here real quick. And the good news is we're going to start to escape that cone of silence here momentarily. And there it is. You can see just kind of that circle right there, almost like a donut with no signature there. That is what we call the cone of silence. It kind of spreads out around where that circular area is, and it looks a little bit messy and sloppy on radar, but that's just the radar trying to, get items with height. It sometimes runs into interference, some ground clutter, you name it, once it's on the surface level, and then it's making its way upwards. So sometimes when we get into this zone right around 1 to 5 miles away from the actual radar site, it can be sloppy at times. So no distinct velocity signature in terms of rotation visible yet. I believe that part would be located just over that cone of silence area. So as that continues to move east, we'll be able to see just a little bit more here momentarily. So that's some good news there. No immediate tornado risk with this at the moment. Like we said, it's the possibility, and that's why they issued that little tag to go with that warning. But the latest update from the Weather Service says that they are noticing that the tornado potential appears to be lessening along the line, but they're still watching the potential for some strong damaging winds with this area of storm. So that's some good news there. Hopefully we can fully eliminate that tornado potential with these and be done with that risk, just so it's one less thing to worry about. Let's see here. And yeah, one thing I want to send to, or I want to show to, and I'll move this out of the way real quick just so you can see here just a little bit. One thing to keep in mind, if you are experiencing any sort of severe weather, once it is passed and it's safe to take a photo, if you have photos of hail, if you have photos of wind damage, or if you just have any interesting weather photos in general, it can be from early this morning. It can be from storms ongoing now once it's safe to get photos of it. Send it to us, 479-785-5000. You can send us your reports, your pictures, and your video. Please send us photos and videos when it's safe to do so. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Only do it if it's safe to do so. But feel free to let us know the very latest. Again, 479-785-5000. We'd love to see your photos and your reports here. It also helps us because we can communicate that to the National Weather Service to let them know what's going on as well. So keep in mind, send us that. You can keep that contact down and send us your latest reports and photos whenever it is safe to do so. So let's take a look at that radar. Hopefully we can get this to weaken here a little bit. I apologize. We have been up pretty much all night watching these storms here. If you were tuned in with us earlier, Chief Meteorologist Scott Covert was here all night tracking these storms, making sure that you had the very latest information. I was out here earlier this morning with our morning anchor, Jose. We were both looking at damage across portions of the area this morning as well. So it's been a very active and busy morning for us. And then, of course, y'all at home, because many of y'all were up or awakened this morning by loud storms. And this morning is no different. So if you're trying to sleep in this morning, probably waken up to by some lightning and also, the wind potential and heavy rainfall. So pretty much everything across the board this morning. we've been watching for a tornado potential. We had that one earlier in Washington County, or the one storm that may or may not have produced a tornado. It was a possible tornado. We're still waiting for updates. We'll get those in the coming days if that was a tornado or not. But still, we've been watching the risk all morning. Fortunately, that was the only tornadic potential that we've seen so far. This one has a tornado possible tag, but right now, no immediate tornado risk. Weather Service mentioned just a little bit ago that this one may be lessening, so keep an eye on that. Let's see here. Let's see if there's any sort of updates here real quick. And one thing to note too, just real quick, kind of off the mind here real quick. So if you're tuning in right now and you're on YouTube and you're on Facebook, we can't see your comments on there. So the best thing to do would be to text 479-785-5000 for those reports. So unable to see those reports on the social streams this morning, but we'll let you know if we get those reports in. Again, text us 479-785-5000, and we'd love to see your reports coming in. This morning, we're continuing to track more pesky severe storms moving through the area, and these are just continuing to be a problem. We're talking damaging wind potential. The main concern with this particular storm in portions of Sebastian and Crawford County. And again, this is just one of many storms we've seen this morning that were severe limits. Fortunately, nothing in terms, of the tornado potential there. So again, we're keeping a very close eye on this activity. We will let you know if anything changes. We've been here with you all morning to let you know what's going on. And the reason we love 5 Plus is when we have these storms that they have these possible tags, or, you know, just severe storms in general that could impact your morning. We love being able to just hop on and let you know, hey, we got this activity this morning. So before you head out the door, probably best to keep in mind that there are some potential issues in terms of the weather. So let's look at what we've got there. And that was a loud rumble. So still seeing some thunderstorms elsewhere around the region as well. So let's go ahead and take a quick look area-wide here real quick, since we haven't really had any sort of new updates on that one yet. And just regional, we're talking, we have all this activity across the area, some heavy rainfall, of course, area-wide. So this morning, probably not the best for the outdoor Easter weekend activities or gatherings, just because we have heavy rainfall this morning. We'll see some lingering rain over the next couple of hours. But the other thing to keep in mind too, if you're trying to get an early Easter egg hunt in before tomorrow, it's going to be muddy. So keep that in mind. If you're going to take the kids out this morning and let them do an Easter egg hunt, even this afternoon as well, there's going to be a lot of water sitting across the area. So some areas may be too muddy to do that Easter egg hunt. And just keep in mind, we have showers and storms pretty much for the majority of the morning hours, maybe a break into the afternoon, and then later this afternoon into this evening. That's when we're going to be watching for more potential of additional strong to severe storms possibly across the area. Just real quick, since there's kind of not a whole lot to talk about here, and you know, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We got a new warning here, so let's take a look at this here, see what they're going to issue that one for. And it's still plotting here. This one is for Crawford, Sebastian, and Franklin counties for the potential of damaging winds up to 60 miles an hour and less than 7/10 inch hail. So let's see here. Yeah, so again, that's until 8:45, and we're talking 60 mile per hour winds and less than 7/10 inch hail. So hail is not the primary concern, but the good news is we don't have that tornado possible tag with this segment of the storm. So that's some good news there. I'm going to get rid of that box here just so you can actually see. And let's go ahead and do a track. They put that for 40 miles an hour. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and do that. They said it would. They're saying east at 40. So let's go ahead and do this. And here's the time of arrival. So if you're in Pleasant View, 7:59, Bloomer at 8:03, Ozark 8:20. Let's see. Excuse me. It has been a active and busy morning. Been up pretty much all night tracking these things. Fallsville 8:43, Hartman at 8:50, and Hinkle eventually, if it holds together, 8:55. So again, active morning just continues here. We'll let you know the very latest. Of course, we are here monitoring these very closely. Again, this is for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts mostly. Some small hail potential with it as well. But overall, we're not talking tornado. We're not talking significant hail either. Let's take a look here. I'm going to do the broad view here in just a second, but just real quick mentioned, I was going to go over this real quick. Here's a look at the severe weather risks that we have for today. We have a 2 out of 5 risk for strong to severe storms, and this is for the potential for large hail, damaging winds, maybe an isolated tornado or two across the area for today. So we're not out of the woods yet. We have this morning activity, and then there's going to be a little bit of a break in the activity by early afternoon, and I'll show you that here with the Futurecast real quick, and then we'll get back to those storms. But as we head into this morning, notice they kind of stick around for the next several hours. Once we get to lunch, maybe a brief break in the activity, and then as we head into later this afternoon to this evening, notice once we get to about 4, 5 o'clock, additional showers and storms possible before another bulky segment pushes through late tonight into early Sunday morning. So that's going to be something that we watch. And of course, there could be activity even into portions of early morning for Easter Sunday services. So just something to keep in mind. Just be mindful of that forecast. And of course, keep it here with the 5 News Weather Impact team. We will let you know the very latest. Right now, the only concerning thing that we have right now is, of course, the storm in Franklin, Sebastian, and Crawford County. But that's 60-mile-per-hour winds. So the good news is those winds right around the bare minimum for a warning. And then nothing else in terms of velocity. In fact, you can see there really isn't any sort of area of spin that is concerning. Just winds probably on the stronger side, closer to 60 miles an hour moving through parts of these areas. We'll let you know the very latest. Of course, we're tracking these very closely. And we'll be watching these as they continue to move east. Let's go back to this. And I'll check on the activity moving into Poto here as well, just to do our due diligence. And maybe some gusty winds there. Nothing too significant. Let's see what's going on with the Poto camera. Nothing there. Let's go into Fort Smith. What we got this morning? And you can still see pretty active out there, just a dark and dreary sky, and not as windy as that camera was looking at earlier. You're looking at Mercy, Fort Smith, and still, there's a lot of water sitting on the ground too. So that's what we were mentioning. Outdoor Easter egg hunts today, probably not the best idea, just because look at all the standing water. It's going to be muddy for some of those activities across the area. So, of course, we're watching this very closely. And we'll go ahead and look at the radar with this. I'm going to step out of the way real quick and take a look at some additional information that we've got going on there. But something to watch is, of course, these damaging wind potential, 60 miles an hour. That could create some issues, especially if you're out on the road this morning. And we just want you to be mindful of that before you head out this morning. Keep in mind you'll want a raincoat, and to be mindful of the potential for some winds. Looking over some reports here real quick, and we'll let you know if anything new comes in. Let's see here. Okay, so nothing major or new there. So we'll go back to regular radar just so I can get rid of the little box there just so you can see what's going on there. And what we've got is, of course, heavy rainfall and the potential for some strong to severe storms. Looking over some reports and also looking at another radar source off screen just to see what we're looking at here. If you've tuned into our coverage before, we have talked about echo tops or storm tops. If you've heard either of those references, looking to see just how tall these thunderstorms are, to just look at the potential for how strong they are, how strong their updraft is. We have some pretty tall thunderstorms. They're closer to about 40,000 feet. But overall, the hail risk looks limited with this activity this morning. So fortunately, we're not talking any sort of significant hail potential with these, at least for the time being. But of course, we are still watching the potential for some damaging winds that are still going to be possible with this particular complex of storms. And again, we got some loud areas of thunder too in northwest Arkansas as well. So if you're tuning in and you're wondering, what about my town? What about my neighborhood? The good news is, if we're not talking about your town, we are, of course, not probably too concerned if we're not mentioning your town in terms of a warning. The only thing that we're talking about here, the only thing that we're talking about in terms of warning are these two storms in the river valley. So that's what we've got right now for the time being. So this one right now, it does include portions of Franklin, Sebastian, and Crawford County. And this one's going to continue for the next little bit. And the good news is we're getting some new reports in as well. The Weather Service is saying peak winds when it moved through in Fort Smith were only about 38 miles an hour. So that's probably a good sign there. So if we're talking 38 miles an hour, that's greatly better than what we could see with 60 miles an hour. So the good news is maybe we're not seeing as intense winds. We're still going to be watching this. The good news also is, I just noticed that portions of Crawford and Sebastian counties are no longer included in that warning. So that is no longer warned. This is the main storm right now that we're going to be talking about. Again, Mountainburg, Mulberry. This is located right along Highway 40. And then this is going to continue to move off to the east at around 40 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and do a quick track here real quick. And reminder for our Facebook viewers and our YouTube viewers, we can't see your comments. So if you're trying to give us any sort of reports or let us know what your area is seeing, we're not going to be able to see it. But you can text us and send us your videos and your photos, 479-785-5000. I'll show that graphic here in a second. For the meantime, take a look. Here's a look at what we've got with the times of arrival, and you can see Pleasant View basically next 2 minutes or so. So right now, Charleston 8:09, Ozark at 8:20. If it holds together, eventually Hartsman 8:41 and Dublin at 8:56. Now those areas are not included in a warning right now. In portions of Johnson and Logan County, excuse me. So even though you're not in a warning yet, just keep in mind these are going to be approaching here momentarily in the next little bit. So probably not a bad idea to just be keeping an eye on this as it makes its way closer to your area, especially if you're trying to head out the door this morning. So just keep that in mind. If you're tuning in from Northwest Arkansas and you're wondering why we're only in the River Valley right now, it's because this is where the only warnings are at. So these are the only storms that are creating any sort of impact in terms of warnings at this time. There are going to be some loud thunderstorms in northwest Arkansas. There's going to be some loud thunderstorms in portions of eastern Oklahoma as well. And we'll zoom out here real quick and show you. We've got lots of lightning. We've got lots of thunderstorms across the area. And northwest Arkansas, you can see widespread rain and thunderstorms. River Valley is the only one with any type of severe thunderstorm warning. That's why we're focused on this morning. So the good news is, if we're not mentioning you outside of this warning, there's nothing severe to talk about, at least for the time being. So that's some good news there. We're only focused on this storm, and then we'll get you through the storm if you live in these areas, just to get you through this round as we head into the early to late or mid-morning hours this morning. So that's a look at what we've got there. Let's see if we can get any sort of new information or if any reports. Thought I saw something come in, but maybe that was... Okay, that's just kind of same thing as what we saw earlier. Again, the winds were not significantly strong in Fort Smith. Weather Service mentioned just a little bit ago, the peak wind that they recorded at the Fort Smith station was about 38 miles an hour, so that's some good news there. Hopefully, these winds are not at the 60 mile per hour threshold. They're not overall too significant, so they can't rip a roof off a house or anything like that. 60 mile per hour winds can make it difficult to drive. They can at times rip off loose shingles on a house. They can damage tree limbs. But overall, the good news is once we're talking 30 miles an hour, and I think we may have just got a lightning hit there, waiting to hear. Typically when we see the green screen kind of glitch out like that, there's some lightning that was close by. So we'll wait and hear if that was the potential. Yeah, there's some lightning, or there's some thunder out there. Not as loud as I was thinking it would be. But again, what we were talking about is once we get to that 60 mile per hour threshold, it's on the minimum side of a severe thunderstorm warning. In order for a warning to be issued, there it is. Once you get a severe thunderstorm warning, you need things like 1-inch hail, which is quarter sized, or winds exceeding or at 58 miles an hour. Once you get into those categories, then you can start to see, severe criteria. But right now, fortunately, we're not in the more significant ranges, 65 plus. So we'll take that over, we'll take that over 70 miles an hour in terms of those winds. So let's take a look and see if there's any sort of new information, new updates. We'll look at those winds here as well. So if you're tuning in with us, no tornado warnings, anything like that. If there's anything to be concerned about, of course, we'll let you know. But right now, just to ease any fears, if you're just now tuning in, we know that there's been a lot of talk about potential tornado this morning earlier in portions of northwest Arkansas. No activity like that right now. No tornado warnings, not even a tornado possible tag at this time. Some strong winds, maybe some small hail as well, heavy rainfall. That is the main concern with these for the meantime. But right now, like I said, no tornado potential. So just to ease fears with that, right now we're not talking tornado potential. Mostly just damaging winds and maybe some small hail and definitely some heavy rainfall. And what I mean by heavy rainfall is, we'll take a look at where's the rainfall rate? We'll go ahead and show you kind of how much this is trying to produce in terms of rain here in a second. Yeah, and we'll take a look at that here in just a minute. But right now, we're tracking these storms moving through. Portions of the River Valley, again, this is in portions of Franklin, Sebastian, and Crawford counties at this time. But right now, not including Fort Smith, this is starting to push away from Alma, so that's some good news there. But right now, the worst of it is going to be making its way closer to Ozark, Mulberry, and Wadalula. I hope I'm not butchering that name here. Some of these communities, forgive me if I butchered the names, haven't gotten too familiar with some of these yet, just because haven't really had to talk about them too much in terms of the radar so far this year. That's typically a good thing when you don't have to mention many different communities, because it means that they're not included in warnings. So right now, if you're in these communities, nothing significant, but keep in mind 60 mile per hour winds, frequent lightning, gusty winds with heavy rainfall. It may be a problem here in just a matter of moments, but fortunately we're not talking significant severe weather or anything along those lines here. So let's go back to this. And we'll show you what we're talking about, including the overall risk. 60-mile-per-hour winds are the primary risk with this particular storm. So, again, gusty wind producer. Fortunately, not talking significant hail producer with that. Let's go back to this. And we'll do a little quick overview here just real quick. So if just across the board real quick, I know if you're wondering, why are we just in the River Valley? The answer is we have a warning down in the River Valley. So there's nothing really else to mention across the region except for that warning. Severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for portions of Crawford, Sebastian, and Franklin counties. If you live anywhere in northwest Arkansas, you're getting some loud, heavy rain, some lightning, and it's just loud thunderstorms for the time being. We're not talking severe activity up to the north. We had severe activity up to the north earlier, but just to ease any fears right now, no conversation about any sort of warnings to be issued for the north. Nothing up here that looks too concerning. The only storm that we're watching closely is this one again in portions of Franklin, Sebastian, and Crawford counties, and we'll let you know exactly where that's headed here in just a minute once I get this track updated. And let's see, do they keep it at 40? Yes. So we got 40 mile per hour storm speed. Nope, that's not it. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. There we go, and then we'll do this. So Charleston, basically now, Watalula, 8:15, Ozark at 8:21, Altus at 8:30. Eventually, if it holds together, Clarksville at 8:56, Lamar at 9:04, and then Augsburg by 9:19. So that's a look at the times of arrival. I'll keep that on the screen here just for a minute so you can kind of see what we're talking about, and I'll step out of the way so you can see some of those communities and what we are mentioning with those times of arrival. So again, this is a strong and severe storm capable of producing 60-mile-per-hour winds and some heavy rainfall. So these are going to be louder thunderstorms this morning. So if you're waking up this morning and you're hoping to sleep in, sorry about the storms. Unfortunately, we've got these storms moving through this morning, maybe creating a hiccup in terms of trying to sleep in for the weekend. But again, nothing significant. We're not talking 70+ mile per hour winds. We're not talking tornado right now or any large hail. For the time being, fortunately, 60 mile per hour winds. We'd rather take that over the more higher end damaging wind potential any day. Just because, there's a big difference once you get from 60 to 65+ miles an hour. So that's a look at what we've got there. And let's go ahead and take a look. I actually want to see if our Ozark camera has a view of this starting to move in. And you can see there just a dreary morning across the area. This is one of my favorite cameras just because we've got a beautiful view of the river there. And you can see just a lot of cloud coverage right now, nothing too interesting for the time being. So let's go ahead and go back to radar, and we'll take a look there. Hopefully we can just drop this warning off here in just a little bit. Of course, the Weather Service mentioned just a little bit ago that when this moved through Fort Smith, the winds were not that intense. So hopefully that continues to be the case. And hopefully we're not seeing those damaging wind potentials, but just because there is that possibility, this warning continues until 8:45, and we're watching that here very carefully over the next little bit. Let's take a look at those winds here as well. And you can see just some gusty winds being the main potential, but no areas of rotation to mention. No greens and reds coming closely together across the area, so that's some good news there. Just really damaging wind potential with this, so we'll be watching that very closely over the next little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to be looking at some things. I'm going to go ahead and regroup here. We're going to leave radar on this. We're not going anywhere, but we'll let you know if anything changes. Going to take just a quick break and look over some things, get some reports in, and of course, we will be right back with the very latest. All right, and we looked over some information just behind the scenes real quick and regrouped. And right now, just a quick update, the Weather Service is allowing for this warning in Crawford, Sebastian, and Franklin counties to be canceled. So just wanted to look over a couple things behind the scenes and get a drink of water there real quick. And as you can see, this is that little warning that we were talking about, but it looks like the National Weather Service went ahead and canceled that warning. So I appreciate everyone for tuning in this morning and, relying on us to be your local weather source. So thanks for tuning in. Of course, if anything changes throughout the day today, we're going to be on top of it, letting you know the very latest. So if we cancel this here in a second, if it looks like things are starting to wind down with this, we're going to be watching this behind the scenes all morning, all day. We'll let you know the very latest. Weather Service is mentioning that pockets of strong winds are still likely along the line in Franklin County, but overall the strength has trended down slowly. So it's just something to note. So right now, again, it looks like they're going ahead and going to be canceling that severe thunderstorm warning here as well for portions of the area. But they're still kind of watching that leading edge for the Franklin County storm just because there's some pockets of some strong winds. So we've got a little bit to go with this one. Of course, we're not going to hop off just yet, but we're going to be letting you know here if anything changes with that. But as we mentioned, Weather Service is mentioning that still watching that, but it looks like that one's starting to trend down slowly. So that's some good news there. We'll walk you through this. It looks like they've canceled it for Crawford and Sebastian. So if you're in these areas, you can go ahead and go back to bed for a little bit if you want. It's always good to have alerts handy in the event that additional warnings are issued. But right now, it looks like we've got a little bit in terms of activity for this to the west that we're going to be watching. This will be some stronger pockets. And what I mean by stronger, we're not necessarily talking severe, but this is going to be the heavy rain potential. This is going to be the lightning potential once again. Just additional loud thunderstorms moving through. Again, Franklin County, there are a couple of pockets of maybe some stronger winds that we're going to be looking at with that. But the good news is hopefully this continues to trend down significantly. So we'll be looking at that here and see what kind of is going on there. Again, some stronger pockets. So we're not talking necessarily widespread strong to severe winds, but a couple of pockets still could be around 60 miles an hour. But overall, the good news is, like we said, it looks like things are starting to wind down some. So let's take a look, and that's right along that leading edge that you see there near Watalula and headed into Ozark. So I want to go ahead and take a look at that Ozark cam here real quick. See if things are picking up there. And you can see just a little bit, maybe some scud clouds just above the surface of the lake there, a couple 100 feet up. So clouds moving in, maybe some rain as well falling right now, but nothing too interesting to report on there. So that's some good news as well. So we'll be tracking this for the next little bit. And of course, let you know the very latest. But right now, if you're tuning in and you're wondering, hey, why aren't you talking about Northwest Arkansas? Why aren't you talking about Northeast Oklahoma? We've got loud thunderstorms where I'm at. The good news is, if we're not talking about you, it means you're not in a warning right now, or at least we're not having to bounce back and forth between warnings. The only warning that we have right now is in Franklin County, and this is the only storm that we're mostly concerned about just because this is the one that's actually at severe limits or has potential to maintain that potentially. So again, elsewhere around the region, there's going to be some heavier thunderstorms. There's going to be some loud storms. They may be scary sounding at times, but overall, we're not talking significant severe weather. So that's some good news there. We're talking only one severe storm. It's this one in Franklin County. So elsewhere around the region, there's no warning. So for other communities who may be wondering, yes, there are some loud thunderstorms across the area, but this is the only one that we're dealing with in terms of the warning. So again, watching some pockets of maybe some stronger winds. and we'll let you know if anything changes here over the next little bit. Damaging winds are still looking to be the primary concern as we bounce kind of back and forth between the velocity products. For those who may be new to velocity, it's simply looking inside the storm. It's the scan showing basically where water drops or hail or whatever it is in the atmosphere is moving, either directly towards the radar or away from the radar, and at what speed. So fortunately, not looking at anything in terms of rotation or anything like that. But I want to check one of our other sources here and see off of another radar if anything has changed with this activity. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that kind of behind the scenes and see if we can see anything different with that radar source there. Again, strong winds look to be the primary concern. So that's our main concern with this, is going to be that damaging wind potential. Now, if anything changes with that, of course, we'll let you know. But right now, the good news is, not talking about hail, we're not talking about tornado, we're talking about 60-mile-per-hour winds with this. And of course, right now it looks to be in pockets rather than a solid line of damaging straight-line winds or anything like that. So, and just to let anyone know as well, also, no tornado warnings are in effect right now as well. So, not talking anything tornadic. We're not talking anything significant hail-wise either. So that's the good news for that. But right now, this is just a damaging wind potential, and we'll let you know if anything changes with that. So let's take a look at the velocities again and show you there's some of those stronger pockets that we've been talking about. And let's go back to regular radar. So we're watching this very carefully. Of course, we have the potential for strong and severe storms all day across the area. It's something that we've been watching in the last couple of days. It's the potential that we have. We've been tracking these all night, all morning, and we will be here all day, staffed and ready to report on anything if storms do develop. So it's been a long morning across the area. If you're tuning in to us here this morning, of course, we've been here all night watching these things, tracking them very closely. I'm sure many of you probably may not have gotten much sleep last night either, just because the loud thunderstorms that have moved through portions of the area. Northwest Arkansas, I'll take a quick look for the entire region. And you can see, of course, nothing in Northwest Arkansas is severe. Same with eastern Oklahoma. It's just parts of the river valley that we're looking at in Crawford County, Sebastian County, and Franklin County that have had this one particular storm that's been a problem. But right now, Sebastian and Crawford County, all clear from this. You're outside of where the storm is located. But the main concern is going to be this one in Franklin County. Getting some unconfirmed reports of maybe some wind damage in portions of Franklin County. Not quite sure where or what type, just that there could be some wind damage there. So waiting to see if there's any sort of updates out of that. Of course, if you have any sort of updates yourself, and it's absolutely safe to do so, please feel free to report to us here, 479-785-5000. We'll let you know the very latest in terms of the weather, and then you can help us be our eyes on the ground and let us know, hey, my community just saw this. We saw this activity as well. We'll let you know the very latest this morning, and be sure that once it's safe to do so, you can help us out and let us know what is happening or what has happened in terms of damage, wind reports, any sort of reports. Very helpful to us, and we can pass that on to the National Weather Service. So right now, looking to see, let's go back to radar here real quick. Looking to see if any new information comes out about this one. And we'll go back to radar and zoom in on this. This is, again, the only storm that we're talking about that is of main concern. Of course, there's a lot of thunderstorms area wide, but this is going to be the only one that we're watching for the potential for the damaging wind potential up to severe limits. So that's what we're looking at there. And we'll let you know, of course, if anything changes or is adjusted with the warning with that. But right now, it's still right around 60 miles an hour. And it looks like we got a new special weather statement from Madison County, and we'll quickly just go up to that here. That's the northern extent of this storm, and that is going to be for 40-mile-per-hour winds. So again, outside of this warning, some gusty winds could be possible. Getting some reports of maybe some power lines down in portions of Franklin County. Waiting to see more information on that. So we'll let you know if anything changes in terms of those reports. But right now, still looking at maybe the potential for some gusty 60-mile-per-hour winds. That's the problem with this, is we're not looking at a solid line of damaging wind potential. We're looking at these little pockets that could be they could be strong to pretty significant at times. So again, if you're in these locations, keep in mind there may be some problematic winds moving into some of these areas as they move through. And of course, go ahead and stay indoors. Another thing too, and it looks like they're going to issue another warning. Maybe some, there's a report that maybe some camper trailers were blown over at an RV park close to Ozark. So waiting to get more information on that too, but it looks like they're going to go ahead and keep this warning going just because of the damaging wind potential. So we're watching that very closely. I'm going to go check another radar source just to see here what that one is saying, kind of behind the scenes here. And of course, it looks like some strong damaging winds are possible on all of our radar sources. So it looks like we're going to probably see another warning issued here downstream. This one would probably include Johnson County as it continues to move off to the east. So it looks like we're going to be seeing another warning here issued momentarily, just because, let's see here. Oh, my bad. We reading that. Looks like they're going to go ahead and not. Looks like they're going to get these winds across the county without another warning. Actually, wondering if Little Rock's going to issue that. Little Rock is the office. Okay, so we are getting a new warning. Never mind there. So there's kind of a little bit of confusion across the board because Little Rock covers these counties further to the east, like Johnson County, Logan County, and I believe Scott County as well. So it looks like the Weather Service in Little Rock is going to go ahead and issue that warning for us for that potential for some damaging winds of 60 miles an hour. And you can see still not really a hail potential with that. This is going to be a damaging wind potential for communities such as Baston. We're also going to be talking about Clarksville, Coal Hill. So the good news is we're not picking up on a lot of these communities out here just because there's a little bit more rural. It's a little bit more rural out there, so hopefully this remains outside of any communities where it can create any sort of issues. But again, communities like Harmony, Ozone, Ork, Salis, Fort Douglas, Yale, Hagerville, Clarksville, Lamar, Hartman, Coal Hill, you are all included in this new warning that was issued, again, for 60-mile-per-hour winds. Now, we have seen some reports now, maybe some damage to power poles and some other damage as well. So keep in mind, this has had a history of producing some damage in terms of the damaging wind potential. So we're going to continue to see that strong wind potential with these as it continues to push off to the east. and we're going to be tracking these very, very closely to let you know what to expect. So what I want to do now is go ahead and put a track on it, and I believe that they did this warning saying it was moving still at 40 miles an hour. So we're still at around 40 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and put the regular radar on here real quick, and we'll do a sweep of the line here, and we'll go ahead and do this. So Altus basically now, Coal Hill at around 840, Ozone at around 848, Deer at 908, and then eventually Ben-Hur around 929. So again, that is a look at those times of arrival for some of these communities in the path of these storms. Again, watching the potential for some strong to severe storms capable of 60 mile per hour winds. So let's see here. I'm looking to see any new updates. And once we get into this zone 2, something to kind of just mention. Once we get into this area of Johnson, Logan, and Scott counties, and some of those counties that are further to the east in our county coverage area, this is where we kind of have to go bouncing back and forth to go between Weather Service offices. The interesting thing here is when we're looking at warnings, different Weather Service offices have their own unique county warning areas. And when they do that, they will have responsibility over a certain amount of counties that they cover, and the other offices that are neighboring them, they can butt up to right up against each other. So when we have these areas that are kind of between offices like Johnson, Logan, and Scott counties, that's when we're starting to see, Weather Service in Little Rock starts to take over and do warnings for these areas. And when they do that, we have to bounce back and forth between different chat sessions to see what is Little Rock saying, what's Tulsa saying. In this case, Little Rock's mentioning that they issued that warning just because there were damage reports in Franklin County, and they went ahead and issued that warning. They also mentioned, too, that there is a potential that they could cancel the warning if it continues to be on the downward trend. They mentioned kind of what Tulsa was saying, that yes, there is a strong to severe storm. There is a history of some damage with it, but it's also on the downward trend. So there's something to keep in mind. Again, these are some of those locations with the time of arrival. But right now, we've got not a whole lot to mention. I'm hoping that this will start to trend downwards and that we don't have a warning anymore. We know many of you are watching out here, near communities like Ozark, near Clarksville, over in Johnson County. It's, there's a lot of viewers down in there. There's a lot of people across the area. This warning starting off with these thunderstorms, so we want to make sure you're prepared for the day ahead, and also prepared when we have these alerts that are issued. So we're watching these storms very carefully. We'll let you know, of course, if there's any concern with any of these. But right now, I'm optimistic that hopefully this will continue to trend downward. Just because if we continue to see this trend downward, then we could probably get rid of this warning, and then we can kind of just move about our warning. Still, even if it's not warned any further, if it trends downward, that doesn't mean that it's going to be perfectly fine. Still wouldn't rule out maybe 30 to 40 mile per hour winds if this warning were to be dropped, even after it is weakened. So still some strong storms, frequent lightning, heavy rainfall. Regardless, it's just not a good day to be outside across the area, especially for morning Easter egg hunts or gatherings like that. Probably best to just move those inside. Elsewhere around the river valley, Poteau, Alma, Fort Smith, some of those areas that are getting some heavy rainfall right now. No warnings issued for you, so it's just loud thunderstorms. Even here, you can hear at our station in Johnson that you can hear loud rumbles of thunder. It's loud out there this morning. I'm sure if some of you have storm anxiety, you may be feeling anxious hearing this thunder, wondering what's going on. Good news is the only warnings that we have right now is, of course, this one in Franklin and Johnson County right now, but we're still watching the area for general thunderstorms. While there's no warnings area-wide, it doesn't mean that it's not loud. It doesn't mean that it may not be scary to some. So that's a look at what we've got. Just loud thunderstorms area-wide, except for this one that we are watching in Franklin County and Johnson County. So again, watching those very carefully. Let's go ahead and go back to that particular warning. And I'm going to go ahead and put the velocity on and kind of step out of the way so you can see just the full picture here. You can see just gusty winds. And again, it's still pockets. We're not talking tornadic. We're not talking about, greens and reds coming closely together with this activity. We're not talking large damaging hail. In fact, I'll throw that on here real quick just to show you. The overall hail potential is pretty much nothing. It's not even picking up anything. So the good news is there's no hail with this. It's just damaging winds. So to ease any fears, if you're watching in Johnson County, I know that there's been the mention of tornadoes over the course of the broadcast this morning, but fortunately, we don't have any sort of tornado threats right now. As you can see, no tornadic signatures, nothing to mention there. So if you're worried about a tornado, just to answer your question, we got no tornadic activity going on here. No immediate risk for it either. Just some damaging winds, 60 miles an hour or so. So that's a look at what we've got going on there. Let's go back to basic radar here real quick. And again, even just visually, this one isn't as organized or as impressive as it was earlier. You can see it's kind of scattered. It's kind of all over the place in clusters. So my hope is that this is going to continue to wind down here over the next little bit. So waiting to see what the Weather Service in Little Rock here says. And let's go ahead and see if there's any new updates from Tulsa or anything like that. I want to go ahead and just move this just slightly. There we go. And right now, no updates from Little Rock. Let's go ahead and go to Tulsa and see if there's any sort of updates. And the good news is, just a quick update. So we know that there was some reports of maybe some flipped RV trailers closer to Ozark, but some reports coming out are showing that those were not occupied, so there's no injuries there. Of course, we always like to see that just because we never want to see these storms creating damage, but we also never want to see these storms creating damage and injuries just because that's not something that we hope for, and we always hate to see any sort of damage or impacts from these storms. But the good news is no injuries reported with that, so just going to pass that along just to give some good news there. Again, still watching this one. This one is just doing its thing at this point. No updates from Little Rock as if they're going to continue this warning. We're going to watch over the next little bit and see what happens with this, if they cancel it or if it maintains enough. But overall, not a whole lot to report on. Let's go up to northwest Arkansas real quick and just show you. A lot of thunderstorms across the area. Heavy rainfall at times, and also a bunch of lightning associated with a lot of this activity as well. So it's loud across the area this morning, so don't be surprised if you encounter some loud thunderstorms this morning as we go into the River Valley. Again, the only activity that we are mostly concerned for is this one particular storm in Johnson County, not fully mentioning technically Franklin County with that anymore, just because the worst of this is pushed off to the east. Maybe some gusty winds associated with this round coming into Ozark now, and we can actually check that camera here momentarily as well. But right now, again, the worst of it looks to be moving into Johnson County with that primary storm that we're talking about. So I want to go back to where is it? Let's go to Ozark. And you can see just a bunch of heavy rain potential off on the horizon there, maybe even over the camera as well. So heavy rainfall is occurring here. Dreary, cloudy skies this morning as well. Looking to see not a whole lot of lightning with that next round either. So Again, just heavy rainfall this morning to mention there. Fortunately, nothing too interesting to kind of talk about on that camera. Let's go back to radar. And this is the only storm that we're talking about. We're talking about this particular storm moving out of Franklin County into Johnson County. And this is in effect until 9 a.m. But if this continues to be on the downward trend, the Weather Service, Little Rock mentioned, they may have enough to maybe go ahead and cancel that, but no word on if they're going to go ahead and do that or not. Right now, it looks to be cycling because over the last couple of scans, you may have noticed, taking a look back, I'll put this back into motion here, notice that it was kind of sloppy, but now it's looking like it's coming back together just a little bit greater than it was momentarily ago. But right now, no word on if they're going to go ahead and cancel that. We'll zoom in here on some of those communities just to let you know. Catalpa, Ferris Springs, Garber, Rosetta, Yale, Bateson, Anita, Hillcrest. These are some communities included in the warning, and we'll take a look at those winds as well. And you can see some gusty winds are still possible with this. But again, this one's been mostly in pockets just because it's been kind of all over the place in terms of its structure. See if there's any new updates. No updates on this quite yet. So we're keeping a close eye on this. I'm also going back and forth. So if you see me go from the green screen to off it, we have a couple of cool tools behind the scenes with some different radar products, and just like to kind of bounce back and forth and see what that may be seen that may be different from the perspective that we see on screen. So we're just going through that, also looking at some reports. Let's see, looks like a new update from Tulsa on the Franklin County storm, and they expired the severe thunderstorm warning in Franklin County. So the worst of it is no longer in Franklin County. That warning box is going to drop off here momentarily. And now we get to wait and see what the Weather Service in Little Rock has to say about this. This was a pretty impressive little storm at times. It may not have looked like it, but the reports that we're starting to see is there may be some trees down, some power lines down, and of course the damage that we saw earlier, maybe with the RV park with those unoccupied RV trailers that were tipped over. So just real quick, if you have any sort of damage, if you have any sort of updates, any sort of reports, take a look at this, 479-785-5000. Text us your reports, your pictures, your videos, whatever it is, whenever it's safe to do so, 479-785-5000. We'd love to see your reports. We'd love to see your photos. And not only does it help us, but it also, helps us to relay that information to the National Weather Service. We'll let them know kind of what we've seen in terms from our viewers. We'll let them know what has happened. Think of it as you're our ground truth. So only do it if it's safe to do so, but we can only see so much from our cameras. We can only see so much with radar. Those reports really help us. It's basically our ground truth when we see storms across the area. So thank you to those who have been sending us their reports. Thank you for those who are going to send reports as well. It is incredibly helpful, and it helps us pass that along and make sure that we can relay that information to those who need it. So that's a look at what we've got there. Of course, I'm still watching this this pesky storm in portions of Johnson County. Again, let's go ahead and do a track. It's at 40 miles an hour. And we'll go ahead and show you kind of what we're doing or dealing with here. And let's do that. All right. So ozone right now, Garber in the next couple of minutes, Clarksville at 8:57, Holman 911, Treat 914, Bullfrog Valley 918, Ben Hur 921, Magic Springs 927, Raspberry at 928, Mount Pleasant at 932, and then finally Bear Creek at 934. Some of these areas are outside of our coverage area, but it's just something that we mentioned just because you never know. Someone may have friends and family down in these areas as well. So let's look at that track that we've got going on there. Okay, no updates yet, so we're going to wait and see. Of course, we're tracking these winds too. Let's take a look at what they're doing now. Some stronger winds may be located right now between Highway 21 and 215 and 292 this morning. So we're seeing these pinks. That still may be some damaging wind potential on the leading edge of this. And again, keeping a very close eye on that activity. So let's go ahead and go back to radar just for a couple minutes. And our main radar, excuse me, that's the reflectivity here. We're keeping a very close eye on this activity as it continues to move into portions of Johnson County. Again, fortunately, if you're just now tuning in and you're wondering, no, there is not a tornado potential, thankfully. There's also not a large damage and hail potential either with this activity. So watching this activity very closely. We'll let you know if anything changes with that. But in the meantime, it's just 60-mile-per-hour winds right now. Has had a history of producing some damage, unfortunately. But the good news is some of the damage that we've reported, no injuries were reported with those. So always like to see that. No injuries involved with some of those reports of damage that we saw. But right now, you can see just this big area of heavy rainfall. So the other thing that we're going to have to be talking about is the localized flooding potential throughout the morning. And so just keep in mind, low-lying areas with poor drainage may be a problem in terms of the heavy rainfall. That rain may not have anywhere to go, and there may be some localized flooding. But, you know, right now, fortunately, we're not talking any sort of significant severe weather with this. Right now, the wind potential is still right around 60 miles an hour. So, and this warning goes into effect. Let's go back to that little box and show you what we're talking about here. That warning goes into effect, or it stays in effect until 9 o'clock. So basically, we've got another 15 minutes with this unless something changes. We're going to go back and see real quick if we can see any sort of updates with the other radar source. So let's take a look here. I'll go back to the green screen here in just a second, but just wanted to make sure that we got all of our bases covered. We're doing our due diligence here, and just going to be covering those storms as they are moving through portions of Johnson County. So right now, the only warning we have right now is in Johnson County. It's this particular one here. Let's go back to the DMA. And that's our market area, and you can see widespread rain continues, and you can even see some stratiform rain. And what I mean by that is it's that big pocket of rain that you see to the north and west, moving into portions of northwest Arkansas. It looks kind of scattered, not very heavy. That's what we call stratiform rain. It's kind of that lingering rainfall that you get for a while after. Storms move through. So we're going to continue to see some rainfall throughout the majority of the morning here in portions of northwest Arkansas. It may even continue into the River Valley. New update. Weather Service went ahead and continued that severe thunderstorm warning, and it looks like they're going to go ahead and just keep that going until it expires. So we're going to be talking about that for the next little bit. But right now, looks like they're going to go ahead and continue that until 9 o'clock in the morning. So this is going to continue to push east. So if you're in the storm's path, of course, damaging winds are a potential with it. 60-mile-per-hour winds are possible. So we're going to be watching that very carefully. But the other thing to mention is they're going to go ahead and let that just continue its course until around 9 o'clock when this is allowed to expire. So still potential for some damaging winds with this. But the good news is we're not talking 70-mile-per-hour winds or anything along the lines of more significant risk. This is primarily a 60-mile-per-hour wind risk with that. So We like to see it when it's on the calmer side just because there's a big difference between 60 miles an hour and 70 miles an hour, even 65 miles an hour. It's a big damage difference in terms of the threshold. So looking to see if we can get any sort of updates here. See if anything new has come in. Again, not scrolling TikTok or anything. We're looking at some reports and some other information coming in as well. So all right, so we'll look more here in just a second, but for the time being, you can see still right along the same lines of what we've been talking about for a little bit. We're talking about the potential for the 60-mile-per-hour winds in portions of Johnson County. So unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of information I can deliver right now. We don't have any sort of reports coming in with this. The only reports that we did receive was in Franklin County. We saw numerous reports, trees down, some power lines down, some damage to maybe some RVs as well. But the good news is, at least for the time being, not seeing any sort of reports coming in from Johnson County for the time being. So let's go back here and see if there's any sort of new updates here. And just continuing to watch this storm. It's going to continue to be a problem. So again, Clarksville, you're in the warning. Some storms are on the way into the area there. And we're going to be talking about that over the next little bit. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break here real quick. Get another drink here. Just kind of, regroup real quick. Going to look at some information and then we will be right back. So stay tuned. All right, and welcome back. Just had to get a quick drink here real quick. Been talking about storms now for the last several hours, and just had to get a quick drink here real quick and a quick breather. So one thing to mention, the Weather Service in Little Rock is saying that they're planning to expire the warning that we have in place in Johnson County. They're planning to expire that in about 9 minutes. So we have 9 minutes to go with this warning still. They're planning to replace it with a special weather statement. And the reason for that is because this particular storm, we've been mentioning, it's been kind of teetering on whether or not it wants to maintain its strength or if it wants to decrease its strength. So right now, the latest update from the Weather Service in Little Rock is they're planning to go ahead and expire that coming up at 9 o'clock. So now in about 7 minutes or so. So the good news is things are starting to wind down. We'll let you know if anything changes, but right now, for the time being, until this is basically expired, we're going to keep with it and let you know what to expect. So thank you for bearing with us this morning. I really appreciate y'all tuning in and letting us be your local weather source. And thank you for tuning in whenever we do these streams and for sending your reports. We really appreciate it. Again, it's been an active morning across the area. We've been tracking storms since overnight last night. Been tracking storms since I've been tracking storms since 1 a.m. this morning. Saw some of that damage in Washington County earlier, and now tracking these storms here in studio as well. So it's been a busy night across the area, and of course we still have this storm here in portions of the River Valley that is a little bit problematic. But the good news is, fortunately, we're starting to see these things wind down, and at least for the time being, this particular storm is winding down, and hopefully we can get that below severe limits. So Now that this is supposed to expire here coming up, let's see here. Yep. All right, so let's go ahead and do a quick overview. And if you're watching here and you're wondering, why are we only focused on this one here in Johnson County? The answer is that's the only warning that we have. Elsewhere around the region, there's no warnings. There's nothing to be too concerned about. They're loud. They're going to be obnoxious at times, storm-wise. There could be even some gusty winds embedded with some of these. But right now, overall, the only thing that we have in northwest Arkansas is some light to moderate rain with some lightning at times. So nothing severe. You can go about your day. Just make sure that it's probably best to stay indoors with that lightning potential. And also maybe on a rain jacket before you head out in the morning. But also River Valley, other than this one storm, nothing is severe. Nothing is notable in terms of that severe weather potential. So that's some good news there. It's always great when we only have one or two of these storms we have to deal with instead of bouncing back and forth with multiple. It's also good that these are a little bit more on the tame side in terms of the severe weather risk. We weren't necessarily talking about 65, 70 plus mile per hour winds. And fortunately, none of these really had a tornado risk here either as well. So again, we're keeping a close eye on this activity just because we want to maintain with this until it drops off. But we also want to do our due diligence and make sure we're not overlooking something. Because it's going to start to wind down here in just a second, but we also want to make sure that, hey, it doesn't pop back up or anything like that. So we're going to be watching this one very closely. But for the overall view, northwest Arkansas, you're clear in terms of the severe weather risk for the time being. Again, this isn't the only round we're going to get. We're going to have another one later this afternoon into tonight, and then another one potentially early Sunday morning, and then another one into Sunday afternoon. In fact, I'll run through that here real quick as things are starting to wind down. Real quick, weather impact alert is in effect, and we have declared that for today into tomorrow. We have had this activity overnight tonight into early this morning, and as you can see, it's been a problem. So continuing that weather impact alert just because we have another additional round coming up later this afternoon as well. Some could be strong to severe, but we're also looking at a flooding risk with these storms as well, just because we've had so much rain already today. We're going to see more as we head into tomorrow. So be weather aware, have ways to receive those alerts. Here's a look at the latest day one risk from the Storm Prediction Center. Again, the majority of us are under a 2 out of 5 risk for storms. And again, some could be strong to severe. We're not expecting everyone to get hit with severe weather the remainder of today. It's just a risk that you want to be tuned into and aware of just because holiday plans, everyone's got their own activities that they're worried about, may not be fully tuned into the weather or thinking about it. So it's best to just go ahead and stay tuned to that forecast. Let's take a look at the hour by hour. And of course, as we head into the next couple of hours, notice this activity will continue to shift off to the east, but some stratiform rain may still remain, maybe even some thunder with it too, maybe a break early afternoon. But notice as we get later into this evening, maybe some additional thunderstorms that we'll need to watch, of course, for maybe some strong to severe activity. We'll keep a very close eye on this activity as it heads throughout the day today. As we head into tonight, notice 6 p.m., 6:30, maybe some additional showers and thunderstorms across parts of the area. And then we get another larger area that moves in later tonight. And then that is something else we'll have to watch. So numerous rounds of showers and thunderstorms. Many of these could be strong to severe across the area, so it's just something we'll have to keep an eye on. The risk tomorrow, it has come up just a little bit. We're talking a 3 out of 5 risk for strong to severe storms as we head into your Easter Sunday. So be tuned into the forecast tomorrow. Download that 5 News mobile app and make sure that you have the latest information with that. So let's go back to radar and we'll let you know the very latest. Again, still watching this one. We got probably about 3 minutes left with it. So we're going to be watching it, but still it looks pretty sloppy. So as this is making its way outside of our coverage area, we're going to be watching that one. It's going to make its way outside of our county coverage area. But, if our neighbors out to the east get this one, hopefully it's not severe, and hopefully it lessens its strength here in the next little bit. We got about 2 minutes left with this warning. And just real quick, if you have experienced damage across the area, see if I can move that so you can see the full number and step out of the way real quick. If you've received damage or if you had any sort of cool weather photos you wanted to share with us, please share those with us at 479-785-5000. We'd love to see your photos, your videos, your reports, and we also share those over with the National Weather Service as well so that they can see what has happened with the storm. So, of course, we always appreciate your reports. We talk about what goes on with radar. We talk about the cameras. But the thing is, it's limited. So when we're talking about severe activity, we can tell you what's happening in terms of radar. We have our sky cams that can tell us one thing, but they can't see everywhere. So whenever it's safe to do so, send us your reports. It's much appreciated just because you get to be our ground truth and tell us what's happening. Please be sure to do it only when it's safe to do so. But we love your reports and appreciate you taking the time to go ahead and share that information on what has happened in your area. So again, we are going to be watching this over the next minute or so. And no words from the storm or from the Weather Service in Little Rock on if they are going to continue this, which is some good news because that means that in the meantime, there really hasn't been any sort of uptick in this that would concern additional warnings for Johnson County. So Johnson County, best to just stay indoors for the next little bit because there is some lightning with this. Even if this isn't warned any longer, which it is not, there could still be some gusty winds with it. So 30, 40 mile per hour winds possible with that. But overall, there you see, it is no longer a warned storm. So because we've been on for so long, I'm going to go ahead and take a break and go ahead and end this. But real quick, going to show you what we've got. Area-wide, here's a look at the radar. Loud thunderstorms are possible across the area. Maybe some gusty winds, some lightning, some moderate to heavy rainfall at times, but no warnings across the area, which is some good news. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a good one. We'll let you know if anything changes.